Working from home is the new norm. However, that doesn't mean that suddenly having no boundaries with your work should be the norm. In this week's video, I'm going to share 7 things you need to stop doing if you want better work-life balance during COVID, and what you should be doing instead. Don't forget, if you find this video helpful, you can subscribe in the corner at any time to see more content like this from me. If we haven't met yet, my name is Lucy. I am a work-life balance coach for overworked 9-to-5 women who want to set better boundaries at work. As a general rule, I believe that you should never do things that you don't want to do. I also believe that you should never feel guilty for setting boundaries between yourself and work. It is your life after all. But in the last year, work has kind of crept into our homes. It's crept into our spare time. So it now feels like you have less time than ever to yourself outside of work. Instead of saying this is just the new norm, which I am obviously not stoked with, let's dive into things that you should be doing differently to set boundaries at work during COVID. Number 1 is to stop endlessly productivity hacking. Productivity hacking is when you come up with tools and systems to be more efficient. It increases your work output. However, if you have a killer productivity system where you get heaps of work done during the day, but you have no energy left for yourself at the end of it, you don't have work-life balance. You just have a really efficient way of organizing your schedule. Instead, find times during the day that your brain is most switched on and schedule your harder work for then. You should also give yourself permission to not be that productive all the time. Besides being completely unrealistic, your hormones, your mental health, your general energy isn't switched on all the time. So you shouldn't expect yourself to be productivity hacking all the time. Remember, working from home feels hard because it is kind of hard. The second thing you should stop doing is to stop giving into the pressure for immediacy. There seems to be this weird phenomenon where jobs expect you to respond really quickly because you're sitting around home not doing much. This is also great if you are back in the office. And if you learn nothing else from me, make it this. Stop giving into the pressure of having to answer immediately. When I get a demanding email, I like to use the 3 R's. Read, relocate, and release. Say you get an email like this in your inbox. First, read it so you have a kind of idea of what it's supposed to be. Next, relocate it to your future to-do list. That way you still know it's going to get done, but it's not in the front of your mind. Lastly, take a deep breath and release it for now. Remember, unless you're an on-call doctor, nobody is going to die if you don't answer something quickly. The third thing you should stop doing is working more hours than you're actually paid. Again, this is a good rule of thumb anyway. Even if there's pressure to be a team player, even if there's pressure to work overtime, working super hard in the hopes of a promotion or saving up money might seem like you're giving to your future self. Instead, when you overwork like this, you're actually stealing from your present. If you want to know how to put yourself first in this way, flick me an email, hello@lucybecker.com, to talk about how we can do this together. So instead of working more hours than you're paid, start saying out loud, I do not work after 5 p.m. I do not answer emails after hours. Start saying this out loud to your family, to your friends, to your partner, to your co-workers, and to your manager. Say it out loud often until it becomes your reality. The fourth boundary you should be setting for work-life balance during COVID is to prioritize your life outside of work. And I know, depending on where you are, this might be a little bit more difficult. The thing about work-life balance is it's kind of a crock, which is wild coming from me, like a literal work-life balance coach. But honestly, you can scrap the work part and just focus entirely on your life outside of work. Instead of figuring out how to fit your life in around your crazy work schedule, flip it around and make your work fit around your life instead. Make work fit around your meal times, around your morning routine, around your Netflix binging. This is one of the fundamental principles I teach my one-on-one clients. Your life gets to come first. I want to know from you, what's the hardest part about working from home? What's been your favorite part about working from home? Maybe it's gotten even better. Let me know in the comments below. Another mistake you might be making for work-life balance during COVID is you're starting to slide back into wearing your work clothes around the house or working in your lounging around clothes. Maybe your desk is creeping into the kitchen table rather than your designated workspace. Get back into the routine of putting on work clothes. That way at 5 p.m. you can get out of them and signal to your brain that it's time to stop. For people in small spaces, and believe me, I know I lived in a small inner city apartment during most of lockdown, some of the things I did to differentiate between the two spaces was things like having focused music on when I'm working, changing from my comfy work clothes to my comfy relaxation clothes, getting up slightly earlier so that I could enjoy my space before converting it to my workspace, putting my laptop away entirely out of sight, not just closing it. The sixth thing you should stop doing is getting bogged down with normalcy. One of the hardest things I think about working from home is that everything starts to feel really mundane. Instead of letting the new normal become too normal, I want you to start romanticizing your everyday life again. Does the sun catch the steam from your coffee? Do you have a favorite mug? Does your favorite cuddly blanket and candles make Netflix a little bit more bougie? Do you have your fancy face mask for going out? Slow down enough to notice these small moments, and I guarantee you'll want to prioritize your life outside of work on your laptop. The seventh and final thing is that even though we're coming up on 2 years of this being a new way of life, don't be too hard on yourself. Now more than ever, you need to keep prioritizing your mental health over work. It's more important than what your boss wants you to do. It's more important than people with strict deadlines. It's more important than making sure everybody around you has what they need and then forgetting about yourself. Give yourself permission to have slower days than others, to have days where you mute all notifications and days where you take longer to respond. You are in charge of how other people treat you at work, so start setting these workplace boundaries. So remember, just because these things have become normal, it doesn't mean that they should be normal. And just because your job is paying you, doesn't mean that they deserve every single ounce of your energy. If you want to learn how to put yourself first unapologetically and set boundaries at work like I've talked about in this video, flick me an email at hello@lucybecker.com to talk about one-on-one work-life balance coaching. If you've been thinking about quitting your stressful job, check out this video that I did talking about how I quit my job and things I wish I'd known. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this from me, and I will see you in the next video.